Welcome to episode 16 of Sell Smarter, Sell Faster. I'm your host, Dani Buckley, and as always, we're joined by Shay Smith, our producer. Hi, Shay. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm great. How are you, Dani? I'm excited about this episode.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited. And
Yeah.
as always, I'll kind of kick us off who we are. We are Lead G2 by the Center for Sales Strategy. We're a sales performance agency that specializes in helping businesses, you know it, sell smarter and faster. We do that by using inbound marketing and sales enablement strategies. And we're also a proud HubSpot partner. And the Sell Smarter, Sell Faster podcast is a weekly podcast that's focused on sales growth. So you can expect things like fresh insights, strategies, real world examples. We always love that. All of this is aimed at helping business leaders like all of you listening take your sales enablement to the next level. That's the name of the game here. So Shay's going to tell us a little bit about where you can find us before we jump into today's topic.
Yeah, season 3 is streaming on all podcast platforms. So whatever your preferred podcast platform, make sure you are subscribed. We're also on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. And if you ever have any questions or would like to connect with us, you can connect with us at sellsmartersellfaster.com. Dani and I are also on all the social media a lot. We love to talk to people. So join us there. And I'm excited to hear about today's topic on sales and marketing automation and more about that. So Dani, why don't you tell us a little bit about that before I bring our guest in?
Yeah. So, if you've been listening or you know who we are at Lead G2, one of the most important things that we hear, we do inbound marketing. Lead generation is a big focus for many of the clients we work with. But the question that comes up is like, okay, we have leads. Now what? It's unfortunate to see kind of how often organizations might invest really heavily in the lead generation side of things, all the marketing, but aren't using automation in the right ways or the best, following best practices to kind of properly ensure that leads are being followed up with, that we're nurturing them, that we're ultimately converting them, right? So that's why I'm really excited to kind of dive a little deeper into the general topic of using automation effectively, but even more so in relation to leads and what we can do with them and how to be more effective and strategic with all of this. So my feeling around technology is like we have so much different technology and tools available to us, but we're not always using it correctly, or maybe we're overusing it. And so that's what we're going to talk about with automation today, is how to do it well. So I can't wait to bring Tina in. Tell us a little bit more about Tina before we introduce her.
Yeah, so Tina is an award-winning metaphysician, best-selling author, business strategist, and online marketing trainer with over 1 million video views and 10 million hits on her web properties. She trains and mentors consultants, coaches, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and small business owners in 70 countries worldwide. Tina is the #1 Black woman in sales and marketing automation. Her trailblazing programs include done with you services that allow your superpowers and genius to stand front and center. Her programs help you implement 18 different income streams to your business, which have produced millions of dollars in revenue and sales. What she loves most is teaching her clients and students how to manifest money, time, and joy in their business and in their lives. She's a proud mother of 3 children and 6 grandchildren, a self-proclaimed technology geek, and she loves to travel, dance, and hang out in nature. And today, y'all are going to be talking about sales and marketing automation. So without further ado, I'm going to jump backstage and I'm going to bring her into the studio, and I can't wait to see what she has to say.
Great. Thanks, Shay. Welcome, Tina. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. I'm just excited.
Good. I am too. I feel like our energies are both, we're gonna pick this one up. I like it.
Yeah.
So today's episode is all about automation. That's where one of your many areas of expertise. And so just to kind of set the tone for this interview, tell us a little bit about why this is such an important topic to you. Why is this something you're passionate about?
Oh, because most small business owners, the main reason they're struggling is that they're looking at the money that's happening now, and they don't concentrate on building long money, I like to call it. They always focus on short money. And when you're doing that as an entrepreneur, small business owner, whether or not you're good at it, if something happens in your life where you can't be focused that way, your money stops short. And so if you learn automation, not only will it help you thrive, but it will just help you if something happens in your life. It will make it much easier to keep your sales going.
I love that. It's like what can be happening while you're sleeping or on vacation or in the hospital or whatever. And I would probably argue that long versus short money. I love that language. I see it in large organizations too. Even though it may not be as impacted if one person's out, you still see it where they have a short-term thinking and they can be impacted by things like COVID, right? That pops up out of nowhere. And it's like, wait, we didn't have a plan for all of this. So
yeah.
great.
Absolutely.
So can you give us one or two examples of automation that's used in it could be marketing or sales, but this podcast, we're kind of focused more on the sales side. Just examples of how automation could be effective, just so we can make sure everyone kind of knows what we're talking about here.
Sure. One of my favorite ways of using automation in the sales process is right after the sale happens, make sure you automate a nurture sequence for that buyer, giving them how this is going to happen. So like, for instance, especially if you're in a service industry, like if somebody purchased something with me, the first thing I'm going to do is they're going to immediately get an email and say, hey, listen, this is what you can expect. This, it normally takes 6 weeks to get this part done, blah, blah, blah. Here's other things you can look at. And then I also make sure I'm giving them a homework assignment, because what I've learned with sales psychology is that there's always this bounce happening, right? So I'm going to bounce the ball back to you. You're going to bounce it back to me. Well, when you buy from me, you've bounced the ball to me. And if one of the things I learned, especially helping a lot of businesses online, if you don't have something in between the time that they make that purchase to the time that you're actually going to start delivering that service, this is where chargebacks happen. This is where most people change their mind. And then I can tell you that by doing that, we reduce that the second thoughts, right? Like, I'm having second thoughts about this. We've reduced that by like 67% among our clients.
That's a big number. And yeah, that makes total sense too, because I know a lot of times with salespeople, in some organizations, salespeople are the people doing this customer service as well. They're continuing, and sometimes they're just gone. And so if there's not like a seamless, immediate thing happening, it can kind of get lost in the shuffle unintentionally. So I love that example. Any other examples that you might point to in marketing or sales? Just a good one that you really like that you can automate?
Yes, text messages. So like if someone makes an appointment with me, you're getting a email reminder, but you're also getting a text message. Guess what? We hold these things. These things are never far away. Never. And if you look at the statistics, right? Like if you look at the statistics that are out right now, I think they say something like 90% of text messages are answered within the first 10 minutes. So can you imagine if you have a sales team, how that's going to help people show up to the sales calls by just adding text message reminders into your sales process? Yeah.
I feel like we could just end the episode now, because I am just sitting here thinking, like, in our own sales organization, we're not doing that. And you're right, though. It's like, I think there's this line of like, well, is that too personal? But like, our cell phones are our work phones. They're everything. It's not like it was even 5 years ago, or let alone 10 years ago. It's those are this is our work phone. I love that. Yeah. Great. So I'm assuming there's tools out there that can automate that. That's why you say it.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
So generally speaking, what are like the top benefits of using automation, especially in regard to sales, into the sales process, and like converting more prospects into customers? Like, what are the benefits that you see?
Relationships. Because again, if you're concentrating on the dollar you're going to make today, if I'm nurturing relationships in the sales and marketing process, people are always ready to buy. And no, not right now doesn't become so detrimental to your soul when you're a salesperson, right? Like you're okay because you know that you have a 90-day process where you follow up with people or whatever version. But to me, relationships are the key of selling more. If you think it's just okay, I just got to get that person to the phone, and if they don't convert on that first phone call, that okay, I got to just move to the next one, you're missing the mark. There's a lot of sales data statistics that I could ramble off, but I'm going to tell you one that's the most important to me, and that is there's only 3% of people are impulse buyers. So that means for a small business owner who is online right now, if you take and just do a, what they call on the napkin calculation, if you look at what your sales are now and you divide that by 3%, that's talking about how much money you're possibly leaving on the table because you aren't doing automation. You got to follow up. The first time is never enough. We got to keep following up. And what's the other one? 7 to 10 touches before someone actually converts. I mean, my gosh, I think it might be even up to 14 now. But whatever it is, if you're not following up, you're missing the mark.
Yeah, I love it. And our parent company, the Center for Sales Strategy, we call our kind of thinking of that called the don't give up process, right? Like it's the long game, right? It's just really thinking about that. And I love the idea of just how many of these touch points can we automate without losing personalization, right? That's still important. And tools out there allow you to have both. And that's what it's all about. Yeah. I love that. Great. Yeah. So big benefit, building relationships and being able to nurture them.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about lead generation and more of this like nurturing of leads. So here at Lead G2, we're all about lead generation for our clients. So can you tell me, kind of paint even more of an example of how automation can be specifically used to help with like lead follow-ups? Like a lead comes through the website, it's deemed sales qualified, it's handed off to a salesperson. But the first email they send, no one responds. A lot of times they give up. They shouldn't. How can automation play a role in like effectively nurturing these maybe warm but not super hot leads?
Oh, I love that. So I'm a partner in a lot of different places. So like I'm a Keep certified partner. I'm also a partner with Constant Contact and, just about every one of them that are out there. And one of the things that I love, first off, you talked about personalization. One of the things I teach my clients is you should personalize an email in 3 places. And if you haven't, you're not doing your job, right? Because if you think back to things like that Tony Robbins have said, and you see in most personal development, people want to feel seen and they want to feel heard. So if your message that's going out to them is not personalized to them, they feel like they're just another number for you. And it's going to take it longer for you to convert. So that would be the first thing that I would say. And then the next thing that I would say is that when you take in, like when you start using systems to build your sales outreach, what happens is you can actually think, how would I act if I was sitting right across the table from this person? And if a lot of times it's weird when we first sit down to start writing emails, we start thinking about our English teacher, and we're writing. It's almost like we're writing to satisfy that English teacher. But I would say, why don't you write to satisfy how you would have this communication if we were sitting across the table from each other? What would you say then?
Yeah.
If you talk to me like that, I'm more inclined to relax and come into the conversation more, because it is a conversation. We want to build a relationship.
Great. Good tip. They're so simple, but they're so often not being utilized. Right. It's like, just be real, be a real person and talk like you normally would. I love that. And I wrote down when you mentioned like you should have at least 3 points of personalization in an email. And I think people often think, well, if I just say your name, like that fills in, right, with automated stuff like, hi, John, that's enough. So what would be like another 2 examples, just so people can kind of see?
Sure. Most coaches out there in the world, they're using they're using some form of application for somebody to join their program, right? Even agencies or whatever, it's some kind of application. So one of the biggest questions is, how much do you want to make in the next 6 months, right? Or next 12 months? Whatever number is in there, that should show somewhere in your email back to them, because it said that you heard them. It said that you were paying attention to even the questions that you asked.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Another thing that those questions, when you're doing the personalization, is it actually shows that at some point in time, they now feel like they're in a conversation with you. Yes, they know it's automation. You're not trying to pretend like it's not automation, but at least they feel like they're in a conversation with you, and you're helping lead them down the buying process, because there is a process. There is a life cycle that we want to move people through. And that's one of the ways we got to understand what their needs are. Are they aware of us? Do they understand that we can fulfill that need? Sometimes we assume just because we're in business that people know that we can do these things. This is your opportunity to personalize your response to help lead them down the buying process.
Yeah, love that. It's making me think of when we have often, like, the advice we give to our clients too, when they have those top of the funnel leads, like maybe all they've done is downloaded an ebook or signed up for a webinar. We're always like, reference what they did, use the information you have to like make that part of the conversation. So I love that you touched on that. Like you usually have some type of data or something that you can reference, like you said, an application, a form. So that's great.
And think about that, what you just said. Most people have downloaded the ebook or whatever. Most small business owners, the communication stops after they download that ebook. And then they only broadcast an email to them when they want them to buy, take an action, get them on the phone. And so they missed a lot of opportunity to actually develop a relationship with them, so that they're more inclined to do what you want them to do. So there needs to be more nurturing in there.
Yes. It's so quickly that we go from here, we're really educational and helpful, here's free content, to like, buy from us. It's like, there's a little bit more that can happen in there. I love that.
Yep.
So are you seeing any trends specifically, maybe that you haven't mentioned, that people should keep in mind about utilizing automation?
Email is it never left in my book, but it's coming back strong right now. I think it was Business Insider or someone just recently this week released a trend, and email is back. Really concentrate on your email marketing, because you do not control your social media, whether you want to believe it or not. Your list is yours. You own it. However, you do not own your social media presence, because you can be shut down any day. And it's not saying that to ignore social. It's just saying you don't control who's going to actually see your content. You don't control that at all. You could be connected to 10,000 people, but maybe 500 are actually seeing what you're posting day to day, if that. So the list is real important to growing the business, because that is an asset to your business, where social media really isn't.
Yeah, great. We didn't even tell you to say that, but this is perfect plug, because our last episode, the first one of this season, was all about email performance. And so I love that you mentioned that, because I totally agree. I think email's like the longest running thing that we've had, from technology standpoint, but it's changed, and there's so much that we can be doing better. So to close us out, what like, you have so many like insights. So what are some of your top tips that maybe you haven't touched on yet, that are like, if someone's like, okay, I need to do better at automation, what can I go do? Especially in relation to their sales process. Anything that comes to mind?
Yep. Your customer life cycle. If you don't know what a customer life cycle, what the buying process is, learn it and master it. I believe that your customer life cycle, 80% of it should be automated with personalization. 80%. If you're not at 80%, you're missing the mark, and you're probably missing sales. I would stand on that. I would stand on that statement. You're missing sales if you don't have 80% automated.
I love it. So it seems like a good first step is to see where that percentage is, right? Some people are probably thinking right now, I'm at 0. I'm not automating anything, and they have a long way to go. But it's once you get the right tools, right? And you just piece by piece. And then if you need to utilize experts, hire someone like you, like us, right? Like there's a lot of folks out there that can help simplify this. Don't get overwhelmed by, maybe fears of technology or things like that I often see get in the way. This will really pay off in the long run.
Absolutely. I think we get, again, there's a lot of tools out there, right? Mm-hmm. But understand there's the tool, there's the strategy, and then there's the implementation.
Yes.
To have all three means your business is on a trajectory right now of growth, but you need to have all three. So find out, learn about your customer life cycle, really dig into that, learn the buying process first, and then begin to automate it. But you need all three. We can talk about this all day. I'm sure that Dani has been giving wonderful content that everybody's taken like all kinds of notes in these series. But at the end of the day, if you do not implement it, it isn't going to do anything for your business. So remember, you need all three.
Yes. I see so often too. The one piece that you mentioned is like they buy the tool and they're like, okay, it's supposed to work now. and I hate seeing that because folks, they get overwhelmed by it or they don't know how to implement it. And so I'm glad.
And then they hate the tool, right?
Yeah, they say
the tool doesn't work. It's horrible. No, it's not the tool. Yeah. It's not the tool. All three.
Great. Well, this was I could sit and talk to you all day, but we can't do that. Not today, but I am so appreciative to have met you. And thank you for taking the time to speak with us about this today.
And thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Yeah. And we've got TinaBrinkleyPotts.com and also Tina Brinkley Potts on all social media. We've got that in the show notes on the video. So check out Tina's stuff, get in touch with her. And thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, Tina.
Thank you.
Hey, Dani, thank you both. That was a fun conversation, just digging into those topics, tips people just need to do. They need the tool, they need the strategy, and they've got to implement. And you can't do really one without the other successfully. So I loved hearing that. If you are not subscribed on your preferred podcast platform or on YouTube, be sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes we have this season or even next season. We're already, building out that guest list. It's exciting. We've got great topics, just like the one today. So be sure you're subscribed. And if you'd like to connect, you can connect with us at sellsmarter.sellfaster.com. I'm going to put, if you're watching on video, I'm going to put Dani's connect info on the screen, and it's also in the show notes of the podcast. And I'll put mine on here too. We'd love to chat. Sales, marketing, sales enablement, inbound marketing, all the things that really just fuel us every day. That's the reason why we're here, to help people sell smarter and faster. So, Dani, anything else before we close today?
Yeah, just we'll be back next week, and we're going to be talking with Charlie Riley with Havoc Shield, and we're going to be talking more generally about sales enablement, like what it is, how he uses it at his organization, some like insider tips on implementing sales enablement strategies. So I'm really excited to dive into that even more. And we'll see you on the next episode. So for now, happy selling, everybody.